Good morning everyone, today we're checking out a brand new video from the Film Theaters about how this could be the only thing that can save Moana. Now I don't know if he means the character or the movie series as a whole, but either way, let's hop in and see what it is.
Boat snack! Oh, boat snack upgrade. Bacon and eggs? Why didn't you bring the pig last time?
Yeah, Moana, why didn't you bring the pig last time?
She tried.
Moana, what are you planning to do to that pig?
No, remember, he tried to bring the pig, but he just wouldn't stay on the boat. He got like a feet of water or
Hello,
whatever.
Internet. Welcome to Film Theory,
I
the
don't
show that
remember.
always hears the call of the sea. It's telling me that you need to subscribe. Huh, that's weird. Anyway, it's been a stressful
I
couple
already
of
am.
weeks, loyal theorists, and you know what? Sometimes you need to just take a step back and chill for a bit. Maybe throw on something
Oh, damn it.
like our new Lumen line of officially licensed FNAF clothing. Order before December 1st and you'll get everything in your order except the Withered jacket by Christmas. Is there a better way to feel nostalgic than with clothes based on this theorist classic?
Why not
Or
the
a
Withered
classic
jacket?
Disney movie, and then, you know, doing the theoristy thing of overanalyzing a super small detail and showing how it's actually incredibly dark. I mean, some of my favorite theories we've ever done here on the channel have been taking a look at the warm, cuddly, happy-go-lucky worlds of Disney animation and turning them on their heads. You know,
Like
classic ruining your
cannibalism.
childhood stuff. So, with the release of Moana 2, I figured, hey, I want to go rewatch Moana and all of its trailers and maybe get some of
Yeah, at the time I'm watching this video, oh, that's actually about to come out. Huh.
my creative
Nice.
juices flowing. In case you don't know, who am I kidding? Moana is one of the most streamed movies ever with 80 billion minutes watched. You know what Moana is.
I haven't actually watched it.
It's like, it was so popular that Disney
I know,
decided
I
to
know.
make a spin-off series for the movie on Disney Plus, before promptly deciding that they like money and instead turning it into a full-on sequel, Moana 2. This thing is gonna make bank, and I don't know about you, but I've seen the marketing and trailers for this movie everywhere.
haven't.
Enough times that, well, I noticed a recurring theme.
You wanted to come this time.
Why didn't you bring the pig last time?
Yeah, they're making a point to really call out that Moana's pet pig, Pua, is coming along for the ride this go-around, and that's weird, isn't it? Well, there's actually a reason for
mean?
that. See, a lot of the pre-release marketing for the original Moana had Pua everywhere. Trailers, posters, merch, you name it. But when the movie came out,
Yeah.
Moana left to return the heart of Te Fiti, and Pua didn't tag along, with basically no explanation. This annoyed a lot of fans who were looking forward to the adorable pig pal. It felt like a big bait and switch, but Disney did have a good reason. According to the writer
Please
of
explain.
Moana, they felt like Pua represented home in a way that would make the journey easier, and they wanted the adventure to be as challenging for Moana as possible. And you know what? That's entirely reasonable. That's a solid screenwriting
You know, actually, I could agree with that. Pua would technically be like a comfort item in a way.
reason for this choice, and I call shenanigans. That isn't the real reason they left the pig behind, and bringing him along in this new adventure is going to be a massive mistake for Moana. How?
Oh.
Why? Well, let me tell you, loyal
Okay.
theorists, the more I sailed across the internet to find answers, the more I realized that Moana's journey would not have been easier if she brought Pua with her. And when you find out the real reason that Moana didn't bring the pig, let's just
All right.
say it's gonna make you squeal. Get ready to be shiny, friends, as we
Yes, it's gonna make a squeal like a Minecraft pig. Come on.
dive into this Moana mystery. Okay, so for us to really understand just how bad an idea it would be to bring Pua along for this journey, we first need to know just how long it would take for Moana to board her boat, sail across the sea, and restore the heart of Te Fiti. And, well, if you watch the movie, it seems like only 3 or 4 days pass, but would that actually be possible? I mean, it
No, it's
seems like she
gotta be a
crosses
lot
an
longer.
entire freaking ocean. Or does she? Well, thanks to The Art of Moana, the official art book for the film, we have a
Oh.
Disney-approved map of her journey, showing that it was actually only 1,200 miles or 1,931 kilometers. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
okay, only that far. That's still the distance from Cincinnati, Ohio to Boulder, Colorado. But surprisingly, it might not take as long as you expect out at sea. The last time we talked about Moana on the channel, we figured out that Moana's boat was based roughly on the ancient Fijian Thamakau, which could top out at just about 17 miles or 28 kilometers per hour. While explaining what a wayfinder does to Moana, Maui says that they need to be traveling 24/7.
You know, a real wayfinder never sleeps, so they actually get where they need to go.
Which means means that they would reach Te Fiti in just
Very
about
well.
69 hours.
Nice.
That's just shy of 3 days, and when you factor in all of the side quests and distractions Moana and the crew encounter during the film, 3 or 4 days is totally plausible. Man,
Yeah,
score 1 to
even I
Moana
would
for the
agree.
realism. Well, actually score 2, because if you overlay the map from the art book with a real map of the South
Hey.
Pacific, you'll find that the fictional island Montanui is exactly 1,200 miles from the real island of Tahiti, whose name and likeness inspired Te Fiti. Neat. So
Oh,
to really
yeah.
start out this discussion, let's go
Now that's actually really something.
over why bringing Pua would be a bit of a handful. The biggest reason? Well, I mean, he's literally a pig. Specifically, he's a variety of pig called a kuni, one of the world's smallest breeds.
Oh.
But don't let that fool you.
Very well.
Even though he's technically a miniature pig, that doesn't mean that he would be small. First of all, we know that Pua isn't like a baby. He's an adult pig, which might come as a bit of a surprise.
Oh.
You might look at Pua and think, how could this possibly be an adult? He's just a cute little baby.
Well, you did say it's a small breed, so that would be why.
Maybe he wouldn't be that big. But the timeline of the movie begs to differ here. In the prologue, we see Moana, who seems to be about 10, trying to escape the island with Pua. The main events of the movie take place around 6 years later, meaning that Pua would be at least 6 years old. Kuni pigs reach their maximum size around 3 to 4 years of age, meaning that
look at
Pua
that.
is practically middle-aged by the main events of the movie. Adult Kunis can grow to be about 4 feet long, 2 feet tall, and males like Pua can weigh between 200 and 300 pounds.
Damn,
That's
that's a
1.2
heavy
meters
pig.
long, 0.6 meters tall, and between 90 and 136 kilos. Since Pua
That's a
is
big
admittedly
pig.
on the visually smaller side, I mean, he just looks tiny, we're going to say that he's actually on the smaller end of that weight scale, clocking in at 200 pounds or 90 kilos, which makes this scene at the end of the movie where Moana catches a charging Pua incredibly impressive on her part. Moana's got a
Ooh, that's a
sleeper
heavy
swole
pig.
build. But all of this now begs the question, how would Moana possibly keep this guy fed and hydrated on that long journey? See, according to the American Kuni Pig Society, I guess there's a society for everything nowadays, adult Kuni should
Apparently.
be eating between 2.5 and 4 pounds or 1.1 and 1.8 kilograms per day. That's nothing to scoff at. Though we don't tend to think of human diets
yeah,
in
go
terms
on.
of raw poundage, research shows that a typical human eats between 3 and 5 pounds, 1.4 to 2.3 kilos per day. Essentially the same as a
Oh,
full-grown
shit.
pig. So bringing Pua along would be the equivalent of having a second full person to feed, which means that Moana's gonna need to bring twice as much food for the 3 to 4 day journey each way. In the movie, we know that Moana is going to be able to restock when she gets to Te Fiti, but she wouldn't know that when she left her home island. That means that she'd need to prepare for that week-long journey at least. So at that minimum
Yeah,
of 2.5
that's
pounds
right.
of food per day for Pua, that means that Moana's going to need to pack 15 to 20 pounds of food on top of what she'll need for herself, just to keep Pua fed during the journey.
So that's about 30 to 40 pounds of food then.
And don't think that this could be something like Survivor Man, where Moana and Pua could just rough it without food for a bit. This would literally be the difference between life or death for Pua. While humans are able to live as long as 1 to 2 months without food, pigs, not so much. A pig will typically keel over if they're without food for just 3 to 4 days, exactly
Really?
the distance to Te Fiti, and that's the best case scenario. Believe me, you don't want to be on the receiving end of a hangry boar or pig. They can be dangerous animals. And all of that is assuming that Moana knows exactly how long the journey would be, and that she isn't expecting any complications. Like,
like what
say, her ship capsizing just a few hours into her journey and losing a big chunk of her supplies. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, couldn't they find other ways to resupply? And that's a great thought. There's an obvious source of food that Moana could go
Yeah,
for here to
fish.
resupply. Fish. But to do that, she'll need to channel
hold
her
on, hold on.
ancestors. To do that, she'll need to channel her ancestors and fish out on the open oceans, and that might be dangerous to rely on. On their long voyages
Yeah, that would
across the
make
ocean
sense.
searching for new lands, the Polynesians
Well, of course that would be dangerous. I mean, if you've ever been out at sea fishing, you can hook some big things, and if you don't have the right proper support to help you pull it in, you're going to be pulled out.
would supplement their food supply with fish, but this could be hit or miss depending on where they sailed. Therefore, they never wanted to solely rely on catching fish to feed a boat full of, say, a person, a kuni, a chicken, and a demigod. And even if we think that as a demigod, Maui doesn't need to eat, based on how
he
he
could.
acts around Moana's animal friends, it's clear that he very much likes to eat and is going to want a piece of any catch. Sailing the high
Yeah.
seas like Moana, Maui, and company can be dangerous, but not nearly as dangerous as having all of your personal information out there too. But thanks to the
here we
sponsor
go.
of today's video, Incogni, you don't need to worry about that.
Oh,
So I
another
actually
one?
moved states states earlier
Well,
this
alright.
year, and in the process of looking for new house supplies and furniture, I noticed that I was getting a ton of ads for these things from websites that I'd never visited, seen, or even heard of. That's super sus, and happens because, oftentimes, your data is being collected and sold by thousands of companies without your knowledge or consent. And it's not just
it's
what
always
sort of
happening.
plates or bowls you're looking to buy. These companies can have your full name, email, home address, phone, and social security number. Good news? You
Oh,
have the
shit.
right to ask these companies to delete that information. Bad news? That could take you ages to do manually, months, or even years, when you have much better things to do, like sailing
Hey,
the
delete
Pacific
my
Ocean
shit.
with The Rock.
No.
Luckily, that's where Incogni comes in. Incogni will reach out to these companies on your behalf and do all of the heavy lifting, getting your personal data off the market and dealing with any objections from these shady companies looking to make a buck off of your personal info. Incogni
Yeah, of
are
course they are.
long-running partners of the channel, and I actually personally use their service, so I can say from experience that the difference is night and day. At this point, checking back in with Incogni
Oh,
is
that's
like a
good,
little game
at
for me,
least.
and I love seeing all of the numbers go up. For real, the last time we touched base a couple months ago, they'd completed 253 requests and saved me just about 190 hours. But now, that's jumped up to 329 completed requests and over 246 hours of
Whoa, so that's over 10 days.
my time saved. That's over 10 days of my time that I got to do other things with, like researching Polynesian pigs.
Ah,
If
here
you
we go.
also
Back
want
to
to
the
keep your
pigs.
personal information private, you can get 60%
not
off
yet.
an annual plan by going to incogni.com/film theory and using code film theory at checkout. Once again, that's incogni.com/FILMTHEORY, or just click the link in the description and use code film theory at
click the
checkout
link.
to get 60% off an annual plan. Thanks again to Incogni for sponsoring this episode, and now let's dive back into the world of Moana. Now, all of this then begs
Here
another
we go.
question. If Moana was able to catch enough fish to feed herself and the additional 2.5 pounds per day to keep Pua alive, would Pua even eat the fish? Thankfully, this isn't something
is a
she'd
good
need
question.
to really worry about. Pigs will eat just about anything you put in front of their snouts. They're
Oh,
like
yeah.
freaking vacuum cleaners. But here
I mean, that is actually true. Pigs will eat literally anything you put in front of them, except teeth. They will not eat teeth.
Here's the catch. Though fish have roughly the right amount of protein recommended for a pig, I found several sources saying that fish and their bones might be dangerous to them. So it's not exactly the best food source for Pua. And even if Moana was able to catch enough fish to keep herself, Pua, and the rest of the gang alive, all of that catching, cooking, and taking care of Pua would take time away from wayfinding, which Maui points out is a full-time job.
You know, a real wayfinder never sleeps.
This just isn't going to be a reliable source of food for this situation in the long run. And you know what else the ocean can't really help you with? Fresh water. Obviously, I don't need to
yes.
tell you that everyone, you, me, and yes, even pigs, need water to survive.
Yeah,
But despite
everyone
all
should
of
know
that water,
this.
there isn't a single drop of it you can drink in the entire ocean. In fact, the salt in ocean water would ironically dehydrate you faster, sending you to
Mm-hmm.
Davy Jones's locker much quicker than if you didn't drink anything at all.
You'd be
so,
dying.
what did the real world Polynesians do in these situations? Well, when going on their long seafaring expeditions, Polynesian sailors had several methods of getting water. One was to just bring a large quantity of water from home, which Moana didn't seem to really think of ahead of time,
That's
so...
clever.
Oof. Another was to drink the water naturally found in coconuts, but considering that Moana lost all of her supplies in the storm, that's also a non-starter. That means that the only
Yeah,
realistic way that
true.
Moana is going to be getting fresh water for herself, Pua, and the rest of the gang is to collect rainwater, which was a strategy used by her ancestors. But, at the same time, it also means intentionally riding into a rainstorm, avoiding capsizing, and then collecting the runoff from her sails. Already, that's
Good
a
luck.
tall order, but
That's
it's gonna
trouble.
get worse. See, a typical woman needs about 5 cups or just over a liter of water per day to survive, but that's in a normal day in a moderate environment. Temperatures on the Pacific Ocean can range anywhere between 70 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 to 35 degrees Celsius, which is pretty hot, and the intense exercise from sailing and fishing would mean that Moana needs to drink
Damn,
more
that's
water.
impressive.
In these sorts of situations, people sometimes need to drink as much as 0.79 gallons or 3 liters of water per day. That
that's
means
a
that
lot
over
of
her
water.
6 to 8 day journey to and from Tafiti, Moana would need to collect somewhere between 5 to 7 gallons of water from the rain. That's between 20 and 26 liters of water just for
Oh,
her. It's
damn.
way worse for Pua because some estimates show that pigs need up to 5 gallons or 20 liters of water per day, which means that Moana's gonna need to come up with another 30 to 40 more gallons. That's insane.
Yeah, you know, it was a good thing she didn't bring the pig. Never
So
bring
there
the pig.
wouldn't be enough food or water for Moana to take care of both both herself and Pua. But even if we assume that somehow, magically, Pua doesn't need all of that food or water, it still doesn't matter because Moana is still going to have her hands full saving Pua from, well, everything else in the gosh dang movie. Early on in the film, when Moana first tries to take her boat out beyond the reef with Pua in tow, almost immediately a wave washes Pua out of the boat and we see that he isn't much of a swimmer. Moana ends up risking her own life to save him, and after this near-death experience, Pua freaks out at the mere sight of an oar. And that's without mentioning the other dangers that they're constantly
That's the scene I was talking about earlier.
running into with the storms, and the Kakamora, and the lava monsters, and the singing crab, and you get the idea. Helping Pua survive each of these ordeals is going to take Moana's attention away from her mission, away from wayfinding, and give her less time to save her family from starving to death. I gotta say, from every angle, bringing Pua along was going to be an awful idea for Moana. It would have meant less food, less clean water, and a heck of a lot more work for her. But here's the thing. It's not like Moana knew that she was going to lose all of her supplies, that there were going to be massive storms, lava monsters, or a giant singing crab with an obsession
Technically, she did know about the lava monster.
with shiny things. So if she didn't know that, wait, why didn't she bring Pua again? Like, yeah, we know Disney's reasoning. Pua was her friend, her confidant, someone who would have made this journey feel way more like home. Why leave him behind? Well, because if she was honest with herself, Moana knew that bringing Pua along would mean that she'd have to do the unthinkable. She'd have to eat Pua. Yeah, the smart thing to do in this situation would have been to eat her best friend. And in fact, given how much of a drain on her resources he would have been, the benefits of eating Pua would have far outweighed the downsides. If you've ever been to or even seen a luau, you know that a whole pig can often feed an entire family, so it could go a long way for just one teenage girl. If we use that assumption that Pua was about 200 pounds, 3,200 ounces, or 90 kilograms, that means that the meat on Pua could have been worth as much as 230,000 calories. That's enough to last Moana for months, and it's not even mentioning the nearly 26,000 grams of protein in that meat that would help her tend to the sails every night and day. Now, the main problem she'd have here is preserving that meat and keeping it from going bad. But even then, it doesn't need to last her for months, just a couple of days until she gets to Te Fiti to save the world. And what's more, eating pigs like this is something we know did happen in real-world history. Remember, the ancient Polynesians explored and colonized the entire South Pacific. And when they were headed out to somewhere new, they'd load up their boats not only with food and water, but plants and animals to sustain themselves when they got to their new homes. Among these animals were, you guessed it, pigs. But if their resources were somehow lost at sea, if travel was delayed or a real-life equivalent of a lava monster showed up, when push came to shove, they would eat their pigs and chickens in order to survive. Let's be honest, Moana's mission was far too important for Moana to give up on. Her family, no, the entire world was depending on her to make it to Te Fiti, and if she was forced to choose between Pua and the world, well, we know Moana does have a taste for pork.
That's good pork.
I can practically smell the bacon now. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut. Up next.
Alright everyone, well I hope you enjoyed today's video. I want you all to remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of you next time when we chomp back in. Till then, this is Fox signing out. Peace.